KSA Kris here, Real Estate Blitz. What's going on, everybody? Want to do a quick video. Got asked a bunch of questions recently about the California Real Estate State Exam. Real Estate State Exam. Yeah, it's a little redundant. And people saying, what's the best way that I can prepare for it? What can I do to prep for it? And how can I make sure I pass? Look, first off, I can't make sure that you pass. It's really up to you. So I don't want you to say, oh, well, you know, I listened to you, Chris. I did everything you said, and I didn't pass. You're a bastard. You didn't help me. So, you know, at the end of the day, I can't promise that you're going to pass. But what I can do is tell you what I've seen, not only with myself and what I've experienced with it, but of course we have an intern program at Kim Steele & Associates that we have. So we always have people kind of going through the California exam process and testing out for it. And, you know, I think I relatively am up to date with everything that's going on. So first, you've decided that you want to be a real estate agent. Now what? Well, you gotta sign up for training. There's a few different ways that you do training. You know, you can actually go to college. Some people do go to college. I have a guy right now, he's going to college and doing it. You can actually take crash courses. It's like a training, well, it's not a crash course. It's a training program where over time, you know, you're gonna go to classes, you're gonna sit down, you'll actually have an instructor, and you do that. And then you also have self-paced online training. I personally did self-paced online training. Most of the people that I know that join our team, that are on the intern program, that are working to get their license, they do the online training as well. Lots of different people, like in places that you can do it. I personally use Allied. I think Allied is a little more expensive than most, but you know, I thought it was very comprehensive. The people that I know that have gone through Allied had great success, but there's also a lot of other ones. All you need to do is Google it in. Trust me, the internet will hook you up with online real estate license training. Right? It'll pop up everywhere. So that's the first one. You got to sign up for it. You can sign up online, you start doing the self-paced training, or you can go ahead and go to a class. So then what? Well, this is the challenge. The ongoing debate that I've had with people is getting your license, is it worth learning everything that's in the books? And I'm going to just tell you my truth. In my opinion, actually succeeding in the test and learning all the textbooks, I think it's a good foundation. But the honest truth is you're not going to really start learning real estate until you start doing real estate. That's why I tell people always over and over and over, it's so important. Picking your first broker, or a team, if you're going to be joining a team, picking that first spot is probably the most important thing, the most important decision out of this whole process you can make. The reason why is if you think getting your license and passing the test, hey, I did it, I've arrived, that is not true. You honestly don't know anything after the test. You're walking into warfare and you're not prepared for it. You're going in with like a rubber band gun. So what I would say, absolutely, you know, reading the books, being familiar with them is fantastic, but really it's the other education. If you have the ability, get onto an intern program. Not every brokerage does it, not every team does it, but you know, the fact is it helps. What you might find is even while doing the intern program, this may not be a business for you. You may not want to be in real estate. The other thing you might find is you know, it turns out that may not be the brokerage for you. It's not the right fit or the right team. You know, while you're on that intern program, you may realize this isn't really who I want to be with. I have a different idea of what I want out of real estate. But you know, the best part is that you start learning the truths behind the business. So this is a huge one. As you're reading the books and as you're taking the online tests and doing the online training, you're able to associate what you're learning to truth, to what's actually happening on the ground, what people do day to day as real estate agents that are, you know, full-time professionals. You also are able to start tapping into people that can answer questions, or if you're confused on something, okay, what does abeyance mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? You can ask people that may not, you know, they'll know the definition for what's in the book, but they can actually like help you wrap your head around what the truth might be. If you can have that in your life outside of the books and what you're taking online, it'll give you a very different perspective. So instead of just reading it and memorizing it, you're reading it, asking questions, hearing it, and actually learning it, because you're learning how people implement it in truth. So, you know, I would say after you figure out how you want to do it, do you want to do it online? Do you want to go sit in class and do it? See if it would make sense for you to do an intern program. Challenges with an intern program. Well, it is what it is. You're probably not going to get paid. You're basically saying, I will show up, I will give my energy, I will work here and help you guys out. In return, I want your help to help me become a better real estate agent in the future and also to pass the test. So, and potentially maybe even find a team or a brokerage that you really want to be in. So you've already built in that opportunity going into the brokerage, right? You've already gained a reputation. So next, after you've done that, outside of doing the online training or the course training, I would highly recommend you start listening. Start listening. There's a ton of great stuff out there. Probably the very first thing I would do is jump on podcasts. There's a ton of great real estate agent-based podcasts. You know, Toby Salgado's got one, Super Agents Live. That's a pretty great one. There's another podcast out there. It's, if you give me 2 seconds, I'll pull it up on my phone. I think that would be even better. That way I could just like spout off a whole bunch to you. The next podcast I would say definitely to check out would be Real Estate Agent Talk Show, Success Tips, Ideas in Advance. So basically it's called Top Agent Interviews. If you type in Top Agent Interviews, that'll pop up. That's a really good one. The Onion Juice Podcast, that's a fantastic one. That's a buddy of mine does that one, and it gives you different views and concepts. But what I would say is right off, just start listening to podcasts and it's going to give you other perspectives. So it's like, okay, I read about this and here. That's what that means with land deals, and that's what that means with single-family homes or how to market or what's legal, what's not. You know, so I would say start listening. The next big one, there's a book. It's in my opinion probably the best book out there. There's a ton of gaps in it, a ton of gaps for where you are, but it'll help you start understanding and wrapping your head around the real estate industry. And that's the Red Book. Everybody calls it the Red Book. It's a Millionaire Real Estate Agent, written by Gary Keller. I would definitely say go read that while you're doing your training as well. And then, you know, I think the next big one is, if I were to give you advice, I would focus when you're doing all your online training, or if you get books, you should be focused on either flashcards or the quizzes. Do those quizzes over and over and over and over and over and over until you just don't fail them. You can read the question, you pretty much know what the answer is. You can read the question, you pretty much know what the answer is, or you can find a variation around that answer of what it could or should be. The reason why I think that's important is that's how the test is going to be structured for the California real estate exam, right? It's going to be structured around almost all of those quiz questions that you're getting. So if you focus, I would say 50% of your time on quizzes. Okay, if you mess them up, great. Go back, find out the right answer, and say, all right, let's do the test again. And, you know, me personally, I wrote out flashcards on the ones that I messed up, and I would go back and I would refresh my memory every day. I actually wrote out flashcards on every quiz that I ever took, so that way I could run through the flashcards every day. I made it a point. I would go through the flashcards. The ones I got wrong, they went to the right, or the ones I didn't know went to the right. The ones I knew, they went to the left. The ones I didn't know, I studied those. I studied them until I went through and I knew every freaking question like the back of my hand. When I took the real estate exam, I believe I might have missed one. And it's because it's the only one where I was like, I'm not really sure of that. I attribute most of that to those quizzes. The very last thing I would say to prepare for the California real estate exam. After you actually, do your online training, you've taken your test, you've passed, and it says, all right, you're ready. Right before you schedule your exam, I didn't personally do this. However, a majority of the people in our office did, and all of them have had success. All of them have had success. They took a crash course. They took an online crash course, and you can actually take a prep course before the exam. They usually do it the weekend prior, right? So I know Drew just did it. He took his Saturday and Sunday. He just sat in front of a computer. It was a lecture. They walked through the exam, and then I think he took his test on Tuesday, passed it first time. I would recommend that right before that, if you don't have confidence, then to go and do that crash course. Even if you do have confidence, but you got about $100 sitting around, do it anyways, just to ensure that you're guaranteed you're going to pass it. Because if you don't, you're going to have to reschedule and go through all that. You got to wait a certain amount of time before you can take the test again. So that's my take on what I would do if I were, looking to take the exam again. And this is how I would personally prep for the California real estate exam if that's in the position I was. And I'm getting ready to take my broker's license, so I'm doing the same exact process. It really doesn't change as far as I'm concerned. But that's all I got right now. Thank you very much. If you have any questions on the California real estate exam, hit me up, post it down below. You can comment in Facebook. You can comment on YouTube. You can send me an email. you can give me a phone call. People have my phone number, and just ask away. I'd love to help you go ahead and succeed in going after that next chapter of your life and succeeding. If you have any questions, appreciate you. Do me a favor, like, share, comment, and keep watching the Blitz. Have a good one. I'll talk to you later.